Welcome to episode 3 of the Road to 200 Deadlift series. Obviously that means it is the third week of this series and I'm still working with relatively light weights on my volume work, so I'm doing 3 sets of 3 with 130 kilos this week. If you've not watched this series before, basically it's going to be a series about me improving my deadlift. I have took a massive step back from the weights I have been using just so I can work on technique and form and improve that over the next 12-16 weeks or so. I'm mostly doing this because over the process of actually getting stronger over the past year or so, somehow my deadlift technique has got majorly jacked up. So instead of my previous max, which was 195 kilos, currently because of my bad technique, all I can lift is around 170, 180 kilos or so on a good day. Although saying that, this week is actually a pretty good week. I have somehow had some kind of epiphany and I have somehow improved my deadlift form miraculously over this week. Well, I have and I haven't. I'm not some kind of magician. I basically just played around with my technique a bit and honestly this week feels a lot better than previous weeks. So I'm not going to be saying that I've fixed my deadlift or anything and just cut the series short here or something. Basically I just want to make a point that I have somehow played around with my technique, improved it somewhat, and I'm going to be sticking with it over the next few months, and hopefully at the end of this series I can hit some kind of PR. Hopefully. Basically in the past I have been trying to keep a ridiculously flat back, which is definitely good for deadlifts, and if you can do it, you should definitely be trying to keep a neutral spine during your lifts. Don't get me wrong though, I'm not saying that flat back deadlifts are bad deadlifts and you shouldn't do them. I'm just trying to say that when I was trying to have a ridiculously flat back, that basically my hips were dropping too low and that was basically turning my deadlift into a squat instead, which was definitely hindering my strength. And let's be honest, the deadlift is definitely not a squat. You want to kind of obviously use your legs slightly, but the deadlift is more of a posterior chain movement than just a quad movement like I used to be treating it before I changed to this new form. Certain lifters can kind of treat it more like a squat than an actual deadlift movement, such as like lifters like Brian Shaw. Eddie Hall does it a little bit, and I believe Ed Cohen used to do it slightly back in the day. However, even lifters like that, if you watch their form, it may look like they're actually trying to squat the weight up, but the weight will only actually leave the floor once their hips have actually rose and gone more into a deadlift position. I've heard a lot of coaches coach their clients and athletes basically telling them to get their hips lower as much as possible. Even personal trainers are like guilty of this. However, not everyone is built to lift with like lower hips, are they? So basically if their leverages aren't built for that, it's actually going to hinder their strength instead of making them stronger. So lower hips isn't always the best cue to give to people. Take me for example, I am basically built short, so I have short arms and with a short torso, and that really doesn't help me when it comes to deadlifting, because if I'm trying to get my hips as low as possible, then it's just really not going to work, because it is just turning it fully into a squat for me, and yeah, that really does hinder my progress in the deadlifts, as I found out recently. Honestly though, don't just take my word for it. Some of the strongest lifters in the world pull with higher hips. Take Johnny Candido for example. He has a great YouTube channel on here, but he has a video about this, and he, before he started pulling sumo, pulled conventional obviously, but he pulled it with almost like tabletop flat back because he's built like me, he has short arms and stuff. So yeah, that worked for his leverages. I'll put a link to the video that he made in the description below, because it's actually a really informative video and you guys could probably learn a fair bit from watching it. I believe the video was about basically trying to stop your hips shooting up in the deadlift, which is the issue that I was having, and basically it's because my hips are too low. Because if you think about it, basically, if you're going to struggle with a lift and want to be the strongest, your body is going to get into its strongest position. But if you put it into a bad position to start with, it's going to move during the lift into the good position, and that's going to mess you up, because basically you're either going to leak power or lose position, or just, yeah, it's not going to help you out. Just start where you want to finish and you'll be the strongest in that regard. Anyway, enough about that. Let's get back to the subject, which is about me improving my deadlift and basically how I've changed my form, which will hopefully get me stronger. I'll probably make a in-depth video about this in the future, basically going over all the specifics of what I've changed and why it makes a difference. But for now, I'm just going to go over the basics and give you a general overview of what I've changed to improve my deadlift. So to basically give you the gist of it, I've changed 4 things about my deadlift, which will hopefully help them get stronger over the next few months. So to start with, I have basically the most basic thing. I've made my lifting belt slightly higher than I usually have it. This helps me keep a slightly more rigid core and flat back. Secondly, I have made my hips slightly higher instead of trying to squat the weight up, because obviously that was causing me major issues in the past. Thirdly, I have tried to actually speed up my deadlifts, basically the setup especially, because any stretch reflex that you could possibly get from deadlift, not that you really get one, but any stretch reflex is being lost because I was taking too long to set up for the deadlift. And last but not least, I am basically trying to take the slack out of the bar more, because I have not done that in the past and it has really hindered my deadlifts, because if I don't pull the slack out of the bar, it breaks away from my shins, which causes it to feel heavier, because every inch you get away from your body adds pounds and pounds to your deadlift. So taking the slack out of the bar is really going to help my strength. Anyway, enough of my rambling. We should have less talking, more doing. So I'm going to head to the gym now and go and do my session for the week, which is going to be pretty easy because I'm just doing 3 sets of 3 with 130 kilos and then doing a bunch of accessories to work on my weaknesses. Hopefully it goes okay. It should do, because it should be easy. It's in a few weeks when it will get hard, but no doubt I'll complain about it then. Anyway, let's go to the gym. Let's see you all inside.
Just walk by. There goes a sight from my soul.